Still to come on the Ride Show, it's the Corvette Callaway. They only make 600 of them every year, and we have one in our studio. But first of all, it's luxury from corner to corner. It's luxury on and off-road. It's Land Rover's LR2. Our ride today is the 2009 Land Rover LR2. Originally saw in its first incarnation in 2002 in the United States, and that was the best-selling model for Land Rover. Now we're on to the second generation. 5-star crash test in Europe, and the first vehicle ever to do that. And also this vehicle holds the highest residual values. Now we have the hood open of the 2009 Land Rover LR2, and we welcome back into the studio our Land Rover specialist, Tom Yeager. Tom, thanks for being here again.
Thank you, Nick. My pleasure.
And hopefully you can explain a lot of the nuances about this LR2 to me.
It's very different, Nick, this time. It's an inline 6 on the LR2, which is the first for a Land Rover. Those engines by design are traditionally very torquey, very smooth, it's naturally balanced, so a terrific design. But what's very unique about it is that it's mounted transversely in the engine bay.
Now, also a good transmission in this vehicle as well.
Wonderful transmission. It's a 6-speed automatic, and it has a regular mode for economy, a sport mode, as well as a full manual mode. It's adaptive, so it sort of learns your driving style and suits itself accordingly. The sport mode is my favorite. Let it shift itself, but just really gets the power to the ground. 4-wheel
drive, of course, is signature for the Land Rover car company. But this actually is an all-time all-wheel drive.
That's right. It's what's called permanent all-wheel drive. And what that means is the 4-wheel drive element of it is always engaged, so you have power at a split second going to any wheel. And the benefit of that is that given even a millisecond's change in your traction, the car can immediately react and accommodate that.
So if you were to have something that would come in and out of that all-wheel drive, you probably wouldn't be able to hit that switch quick enough if you had to respond.
There's no way. No human way possible, and so that's what it's there for, is to be there just without you even needing to think about it.
Now we've had a look at the engine, let's take a look at some of the exterior stylings of this. And up front I noticed what I'm presuming with Land Rover do with all of their vehicles, and that is make something completely functional. They don't just put things in for looks.
That's right.
Have an air intake low down here.
You do. That's feeding the radiator there for additional cooling in addition to the grille. You'll also notice around the side of the car there is air intakes on the fenders as well.
And so they actually have a function as well.
That's true, not just for looks.
And these the lights also keep that sort of Land Rover feeling.
They do. They have that very classic now Land Rover look started back on the Range Rover with the inset halogen high beam here. Also, these have the xenon headlights that swivel as you're turning. They call it adaptive. So just terrific high-intensity lighting
system.
Now
that helps you. The adaptive headlight system actually helps you when you're driving because you can see, and they say, I guess, around corners.
That's literally true. As you're turning, as you turn the steering wheel, the headlights also follow that same path to illuminate the roadway where you're heading, not just directly in front.
The side of the vehicle, I mean, it's pretty straight. There's not a lot of beveling and there's not a lot of moldings on the side. You have a lower, almost sill piece here.
That's kind of a classic Land Rover design in that there's really very little in terms of what I'd call frills. It's a straightforward, classic design. And you have a slight detail there through the doors. You have that detail along the bottom here, which actually is designed in profile. You can see it comes out to protect the door from door dings.
And looking at the trunk, one of the things I really like is when you open the trunk, you have the rubber sill in there, or instead of having a painted sill which gets scratched up easily.
You do. They protect the sill. Inside there as well, what's carpeted can actually also be flipped over to a waterproof side. So if you're throwing in some things that are wet or you don't otherwise want to get the interior dirty, you can have that changed.
Tom, very Land Rover interior. You pretty much, if you ever sat in a Land Rover before, you would not mistake that this vehicle is made by Land Rover. Terrain response, nice system, easy to dial up.
It is. The terrain response is a feature which you can dial based on what kind of surface you're driving on and tailor the car for those conditions. So if you're on snow or gravel or sand, the car can be proactively set up and easier to drive with it.
Great navigation system. I know that Land Rover spent a lot of time putting that together.
It's a wonderful system. It was the first one to use flash technology with its display. It's very easy to use and intuitive with a full touchscreen display.
All right, this is a really great piece of machinery, and of course I've always been a Land Rover fan, but we need to find out some ways to buy the 2009 Land Rover LR2. When you talk about its residual values, this vehicle comes top of its class. If you want to buy something that's going to hold its value throughout time, You can't do better than this in its class. Let's also talk about initial quality. This comes par with Lexus in some recent initial quality studies. And finally, if you talk about pound for pound, a vehicle that's fully stocked, it's going to be hard to find anything that beats this for your dollar. Let's take a look at the MSRP. The 2009 Land Rover LR2 HSE comes with a 6-cylinder inline engine and an automatic transmission. Its base price $36,150, and our in-studio model, as tested, was $41,400. You'll get 15 miles a gallon in the city and 22 on the highway. You know I love a Land Rover, especially the LR2. Of course, English born and bred and grew up with them. But check out the Corvette Callaway coming up next when the Ride Show returns with more great vehicles.